everyone for joining tonight. If this is your first time joining a Career Innovations Q&A session, this session will be recorded and is actually uploaded to our YouTube channel. It's Career Innovations, all one word. You can actually access past workshops as well. I actually categorize them by questions, so you can look in the description and see the questions that are going to be asked in the video. That way it'll save you time watching a video that may or may not be relevant to you. You can ask questions one or two ways depending on how you logged in. If you logged in and enter the audio code, I can unmute your mic and you can verbally ask your question. If you did not enter our audio code or you just don't want to speak tonight, that's fine. You can actually type your question at the bottom of your chat bar or your control bar. You can go ahead and get your questions in now if it's a question that you know that you want to ask. I save the questions towards the end, and I really focus on the questions that were asked prior to the workshop. And I'd like to start with about a 30-second overview of who Career Innovations is. I'm Bridget Baggett. I'm the founder of Career Innovations. We're an executive search firm. We were actually launched in 2007. We're pretty much a referral-based firm. We find probably 90 to 95% of our talent through actually referrals, which means we reach out to people, or headhunting. As you can see, you probably rarely see us post an ad online. So that's pretty much how we find a lot of our top talent. One of the things we do, again, is staffing and recruiting. Some of the methods we use may not be traditional or they may be unconventional. Some of the services that we offer is HR and job seeker training, something that you're attending now. We do resume writing and edits, as well as career coaching, market research, compensation benchmarking, as well as referral and retention workshops. And I like to start each workshop with a quote. So today's quote, it says, "The most common way people give up their power is thinking they do not have any." And this goes into how you feel about yourself, especially when you're doing a career search. You know, sometimes you may feel hopeless, you may not be getting responses, and in a way you may feel that you may not have any leverage. So I'm here to tell you, you do have power. Again, employers are looking for candidates to fill their position. Keep in mind, companies wouldn't be in business without talent. So you definitely want to make sure that you know that, and you're going to leverage that in your interviews. And the reason why I have light, cameras, action, and I go back to the title of our slide, in the spotlight, we're talking about getting the employer's attention today. I got a couple questions regarding marketing yourself, getting in front of the employer. I had someone ask about transferable skills, and we're going to address all that. So that's pretty much going to be the opening tonight, and you can ask any questions. It does not have to be about marketing yourself. It can be anything regarding your career, and we'll touch base on it. So the first slide is called open auditions. Kind of like when you're an actor or actress, or regardless, interview is nothing but an audition. You know, you're interviewing your skills, you're going in there and you're having to market yourself. But some people are not getting the interviews, which means they're not even getting the chance to audition for a role per se. So the first thing you want to do, if you have not done this already, is you want to find a way to package yourself. One of the questions that was asked is, I'm not in tech, not sales, or a person said they're in the tech industry. They're not in sales or marketing. What are the basics of marketing myself in my online profile, which as far as LinkedIn, Twitter, things of that nature. So first of all, if you're in the tech industry, you're already in demand, and I'm pretty sure you know that. You know, depending on what type of technology or what tech industry that you're in, you know, regardless, you know, your skill set is pretty much in demand everywhere. You know, some places more than others. So you want to make sure the first thing you're doing, you're packaging yourself effectively. You know, and what I mean by that, you're understanding the key attributes that you can give to an organization, and you're emphasizing that. You know, many job seekers have a number of different experiences over their entire career. You know, however, employees are looking for a specific skill, and you want to make sure that's the skill that you're elaborating on, the skill that they need. What happens is a lot of employers lose interest or move on to the next candidate because they feel that the person, yeah, they've done this, but they haven't done this for a long time, or the person's not really emphasizing the skill that they're hiring for. I've interviewed candidates that ramble about things other than what the job requires. And don't get me wrong, the things that they tell me about are great, but that's not what the employer is looking to hire for. So you want to make sure that you're packaging yourself, and the package that you're putting together is actually being very specific with your experience, and it's going to solve the problem for the employer. And what's included in your package, which you may be asking? What's included may be your resume. Are you putting your resume together to have a laser focus on a particular area? If you're in IT, I'm pretty sure it's a particular area in IT that you focus on, that you may be experienced in, that you've worked in for the past decade. That's what you want to zoom in on, and you want to find employers that are seeking out somebody that has that skill set. That's what you're going to sell. You're going to sell that skill set. You're going to sell that solution. You're going to sell what you've been exposed to for the past, years of your professional development. So you want to make sure that when you're putting your resume together, it can be a cover letter. I call it, a solution letter. If you're putting together a portfolio, make sure that you're not putting it a general. And a lot of people want to keep everything general because they say, well, you know what, I want to keep it kind of general because I want to apply to so many places. In an ideal world, yeah, that makes sense, because now I don't have to tweak it as much. I can make kind of like a generic resume, that can apply to anything I apply to. But what's happening is people don't understand that's the reason why many people are getting overlooked, because your resume and your skill set that you're showing off is too general. You really haven't had a laser focus on what you do. It's people out there, especially in the IT world, that, hey, they only do a particular thing. There's a person out there that, hey, I only do apps. I don't do anything else. This is all that I do. I focus strictly on these 3 languages. That's it. And they have a laser focus. Yeah, I know this. I know how to build this. I know how to build that. I may know HTML5, or I may know C#, or I may know different languages, but that's not what I do. I know them, but my laser focus is I know how to build apps. I know iOS. I know how to build apps for Apple. I know how to build apps for Android. That's the only thing that I do. So you have to have a laser focus on what you do. And I know in IT there's so many people that, they focus on one particular area, and that's where they build their experience. So when someone is looking for a person that can, Ruby on Rails, hey, that guy's bad. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for 10 years, and that's all that he does. So you want to make sure that you're having a laser focus, and you're packaging yourself to have a laser focus. Next one, build your brand. You want to think like a consultant when it goes to marketing yourself. And people don't understand, marketing yourself is kind of like, in the sense of the word, it's branding yourself. Sometimes when you brand and marketing yourself, it really doesn't have a call to action. It just is usually keeping people on the top of your, on the top of their minds. And what I mean by that, it can be someone, and I have people in my on my LinkedIn profile that's not selling anything, that's not looking for you to have some type of call to action when they submit something. It's just a reminder of, hey, I'm relevant. And I see a lot of people that kind of brand themselves by putting out articles and interests. And I'll click on it and read an article that, they didn't write it. It's just, hey, I read this, I stumbled upon this, it sounds something, it's a great read, check it out. And I remember the person that posted. It's just kind of a way of branding themselves. It's not necessarily looking for a call to action. So when you brand yourself on Twitter or LinkedIn, it's not necessarily I'm actually doing Twitter. Of course you want to indirectly do it to obtain employment, but you also want to do it to stay relevant. That's the real reasons why we brand. Kind of like the big Fortune 500 companies. They're not, Coca-Cola is not trying to sell you a Coke on Twitter. They're trying to keep their brand in front of you. So that's what it's all about. So next time you think about something to drink, you may think about getting a Coca-Cola. Did they sell you one through Twitter? No, they may have a great tweet that reminds you of them. So that's all that branding is. So you want to think like a consultant. You want everything that you put in your resume should be talking points that enables you to actually be creative, talk about your story, tell people what they want to hear. Well, not only what they want to hear, but what you can deliver. That's what building your brand is all about. Next thing, you want to actually make sure that you're going to promote yourself. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They kind of get stuck between, hey, I got this LinkedIn profile, and you've done it right by getting that online presence. You got the Twitter account, you got the LinkedIn account, you even uploaded your resumes on Career Builder, Indeed, so you got the online presence down pat. Where a lot of people go wrong, they don't promote, or they don't know how to promote, and they think just having a LinkedIn profile is promoting themselves. And you have to understand it, not only promoting yourself through your connections, and that's if you have enough connections to promote yourself. There are many people out there on LinkedIn that may only have a handful of connections, and they wonder why they're not getting a response. They don't understand that whatever that you put on LinkedIn, it's going to only be the people that are in your network that's going to see it. So if you only got 50 people in your network, those are the only people that are going to see your material. So that's why when you promote yourself, that includes growing your online presence, not just being an online presence. So you want to leverage those social technologies. They're accessible, most of them, if not all of them, are free to use. It's an excellent platform to introduce your brand to the external world. So you want to use it as a way to brand yourself, as a way to connect to other professionals. But at the end of the day, when I think of promoting yourself, I think of actually reaching out directly to people. That means doing the research, and we're going to talk about this on the next slide. I think social media is awesome. I think it's great. You're going to hear stories about, I'm pretty sure you heard stories about how people got their jobs off of it. Hey, you can do this, you do that, and and it's there, but I really do think a lot of the people that do land their jobs is from either reaching out directly or through referrals. Someone that knows someone that, got them that job, or someone that they met at a networking event. It was something that happened face to face. And of course, probably through the job boards. If you apply to a job and it is not a job that's, I should say that hundreds of people have applied to, and especially if you're in a particular niche where, the skill set may be hard to find, your chances increase. Because guess what? You're not competing with 500 people. So, there's also wiggle room there. But when I think of promoting, I think of, actually doing some type of action that requires some type of result. So social media, to me, I don't call that promoting. I mean, it is in a sense promoting, but I look at that more as, you're branding yourself. You're putting yourself out there, and, and people are becoming aware that, you're in this industry, and you can be an expert or a guru of what you do. That's what I look at a lot of social media for. And hand in hand, it does create awesome and over-the-top results. Selling. What can you solve? That's all selling is. So again, it goes back to the questions, about someone that didn't have the skill set. They were looking to how to transfer their skills to a totally different industry, or maybe looking for maybe a person that's currently out of work looking to promote or market themselves. So selling is just solving a problem. That's all it is. Marketing yourself, selling yourself is just solving a problem. And that's why I tell people to be their own salesperson. Think of yourself as a salesperson, and you're depending on sales to generate. This is the way you live. You want to make sure that you're going to be able to present a product, which is yourself or your services, that someone wants to actually buy. And the way you do that, you're going to position yourself, and you're going to advertise all the benefits that are relevant to the buyer. Isn't that what a salesperson does? They just don't tell you about, what the product is, and that's what most people do. They tell you that, I'm a team player, I'm great at this, I'm a people person. When someone's trying to sell you a product, they don't describe the product. What do? Hey, if you get this, this will do X, Y, Z. Think about, spring coming, and say you're in the market for a lawnmower. They're not going to talk about the blades on the lawnmower and, hey, this is good. They're going to talk about, hey, if you get this, this is going to cut your grass 10 times faster, and here's why. They're trying to figure out a way to solve a problem. So that's the thing thing that you want to think about when you're promoting and marketing yourself, even when you're putting together your resume. What is it that you're going to deliver? And it's not being a team player, because everybody claims to be a team player. Is not being, someone that's XYZ. No, what are you going to do that's going to solve their problem? Or what have you already done in past projects or past professional experience that solved other companies' problems or your past employers' problems? That's how you're going to be able to position yourself to be the best solution. In this case, be the best candidate that they can use. Next, you want to be able that you're networking with a purpose. And I've talked about this in past workshops as well. In order to not only position yourself as that salesperson or as that solution, you want to make sure that you're building a network and surrounding people around you that can push you closer to your professional goal. So you want to make sure that you're networking not only on a regular basis, but you're networking aggressively. And that may be scary to people, especially someone that's not, used to networking. And what I mean by aggressively, I mean you want to network and have some type of call to actions, not just collect business cards, not just introduce yourself and walk away. You want to make sure that you're doing some type of introduction. Some people call it an elevator pitch. Whatever you're doing to build that solution up or what you do, and you want to have a call to action. When can we meet up? When can we have that phone call? When can we get that cup of coffee? You want to have some type of call to action. That's real networking. Real networking also can be, making introductions. If you find the person has a problem that you can't solve, goes back to, I'm using IT because I have someone to ask the question, just goes back to IT, and maybe someone that, hey, I heard you do XYZ, I'm looking to do, I don't know, animation. And a person may say, hey, I only do apps. I know animation, but you know what? I'd rather introduce you to XYZ if that's all they do is animation. I want to introduce you to someone that's all they do. And that's another way of networking, that you're also making introductions and you're creating warm leads for other people. The real networking, and people get that confused, is not just collecting a business card and putting it in your pocket. It's really about getting that call to action. What's the next step? I find that you have a need that I can potentially solve. Where do we go from here? That's actually being networking. That's networking with the purpose. You want to be future focused, and after you network, it really goes back to, if you find out what a solution, what their problem is, and you know that you can solve it, that takes research. And many people don't do that because they're actually looking at the quantity instead of they're looking at the quantity versus the quality. And what I mean by that, they're looking at how many jobs can I apply to versus how many jobs I can actually solve their problems. And that takes more research. When you actually have to look at a company and figure out, okay, they have a need of a manager, they have a need for an attorney, they have a need for whatever your craft is, and you see they have that opening and it has your job title on it. You say, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know how to do this job. That's the next step to take and research the company. Why is this position open? Did someone leave? Are they creating the position because now they've gained business, that now this, particular service or product is now in demand, so they may already have someone in place that does this, they need extra hands? Or is this a newly created position? You want to do your research, and you want to know, okay, what role does this particular position play in the company? And that's how you build your solution around that. Once you learn how this particular role fits in the department or in the organization, then you're able to build your solution off of that. And again, this is something that you can't do just by looking at the job post. This is something that takes a little bit time to create. And once you're able to do that, you will feel more confident. And I can tell you why a lot of people don't reach out to employers, because they're not confident. They don't know what to say. But when you've done your research, you've researched that company, you know their problem, you know you have the solution, you can't wait to get on the phone and tell them. So I find that a lot of people aren't reaching out directly to employers because they don't know what to say, other a job opening, where can I submit my resume? So that's why I feel that a lot of people aren't being future focused. And in order to be future focused, let me go ahead and scroll down in here so I can tell you. In order to be future focused, you have to focus on what the requirements are in order for the company to grow. And a lot of people are so focused on their past job responsibilities, instead of showcasing how their achievements and their accomplishments would be beneficial for the growth of the company's future. And I'm going to say that again. You want to look at how you can benefit the company moving forward. I don't care what you did 3 years ago, and how you were a team player on this big project, and you weren't even the lead on it. You were just someone that, was there. A lot of people, they were in their project and they emphasized that they did this, and you find out, hey, they didn't do all that. They just submitted the paperwork. So instead of talking about what you've done, and you have so much emphasis on the past responsibilities, unless they're aha moments, don't get me wrong, unless they're solutions, not just I manage XYZ, you need to be more focused on the future of the organization, because that's what's going to entice them to listen to more what you can offer and how you can benefit their bottom line, or benefit, their company culture, or save them time, whatever the case may be, depending on what job you're applying to. So that's why you really want to make sure that you're moving forward and you're having these conversations. And again, you really can't be future focused with a company if you don't know anything about them. And that's when it goes back to networking and doing your research. Final, the last thing that sells you are other people. Other people sell you. That means testimonies and referrals. Before you leave a company, and this goes for, I know a lot of people I work with, they're either on temporary assignments, they're on a contract. This is your time while you're working that job to get those testimonies, to get those referrals, to get those recommendations. And I've actually made an example about this, say, in your personal life, say you're dating someone or you're married to someone and you break up. For whatever reason, no fault of your own. You break up, you get a divorce, whatever the case may be, and you leave. Good terms, bad terms, doesn't really matter. How would you feel if the person that divorced you or left you called you about 6 months later and said, hey, can I come by and get some of my stuff? You'd be like, what? Who? You moved on by then. You're like, excuse me? And that's how it is when you have to reach back out to people that you've done work with, and what you should do and what people should do. And I know it's some people online that are probably gainfully employed. You should be using this time now to start getting those referrals, getting those recommendations, because we're now living in an economy that people are not working jobs 30, 40 years like they used to. Back when my grandmother and grandfather worked, they'd get the first job out of high school and they'll work there till they're retired. We're in a totally different decade, and we're in a different age in the way the economy works. I'm pretty sure the job you're working now is not going to be the job you retire with. So that means you're eventually going to leave. You want to make sure that you're going to be leaving with a track record that you can actually give to people. So that's one thing you want to do. And if you don't, make sure that you're reaching out. Say that you recently separated from your job, you got laid off or whatnot, and if it's not too much time, or even if it is, and you know that you really made a big impact, I definitely would recommend that you reach out to your network and ask for those testimonies, ask for those referrals, because nothing sells better than someone else selling for you. That's just like anyone giving you a recommendation. It can be something as small as a restaurant or a car service or anything. If someone recommends them and you really respect the person that's recommending them, you'll try it out. It happened to me all the time. Someone recommended a Mexican restaurant when I was out of town. Really don't even care for Mexican food, but they raved about it, and I ended up going just because that person highly recommended this place. And this is coming from a person that, hey, I'm not really a fan of, Mexican food. I really, some of it's too spicy in it, but this person raved about the restaurant, so I end up checking them out just because they referred it. There's no different with people. I'm going to check a referral before I go through a whole database of resumes. So you definitely want to make sure that you're using that to your advantage. I'm going to talk about some of the marketing methodology, and if you want to take, this is just the 4 P's that I talked about the last time, if you were on the line, and I wanted to break it down a little bit more so you can get a little bit more get a little bit more value from it, but also understand what I mean by the 4 P's: the product, promotion, place, and price. When you're putting together your marketing plan, you want to make sure that you're including these, because this is going to be how you're going to not only get yourself in front of decision makers, but you're not going to be stumped when they ask you, why do you want to work here, and what is it that you can offer. So your product, which would be you, what are you offering? What can you do? What makes your skills or attributes unique compared to the competition? What value can you bring to the organization? That's going to be actually the product when you're putting together your marketing plan. So you want to be able to put together, and I usually say, can you say in about 15 words or fewer, what can you do that your competition can't? Which means it can be a solution that you implemented. It can be something, that's unique to you. From when you've been working at your organization for however long it's been, what can be the service or what can be the value that you offer? This means you're going to have to identify some of the competitive advantages of your skill set, how you're going to translate that to the employers, what makes you different, what are some of your strengths compared to others, and that's what you want to be able to focus on. Once you do that, you're going to figure out, I have what I can offer. You want to promote it. You want to get your message out. And we talked about some ways that you can do that. Promotion to me is, not only using social media like your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your job boards, but it's also picking up the phone and doing a cold call. Connect with them on LinkedIn and get a call to action. Pick up the phone and start seeing if you can set up informational interviews. Like I said, worst they can say is no or not answer the phone, and at the end of the day, what have you lost? So you're really trying to aim for those yeses. So, of course, your promotion also concluding your marketing plan, your cover letter, your resume. If you're in IT, any projects that you've been on, anything that you've done that brought the company values. People I know that, built different technologies or software for the company, saved their time, they streamlined the process, they packaged it in a way that it was, it became something that they're utilizing even after they left the organization. They want to hear about this. So once you're able to package this up and promote it, you want to figure out how you're going to get it out there. And this goes to the place. What channels would you use to distribute your message? So how do you get your message to decision makers? What are you going to use? And that goes to, okay, social media. I say cold calling, networking, industry-related organizations that you can be a part of. Any way that you can get your message out and actually have something that, like I said, some type of call to action that you can follow up on. If you went to school, use your university and alumni offices. Reach out to employment agencies, executive search firms, anyone that specializes in your area. Believe it or not, there are recruiters that just recruit in a certain area. There's recruiters that, hey, I only recruit accountants. There's recruiters that I only recruit sales and marketing, or I only recruit IT. That's all I do. So you want to make sure that you reach out to either an agency or a recruiter that they actually specialize in what you are looking to do. And the reason why I say that is because they're going to have more insight first and foremost in the industry, and they're going to probably have positions that may not even be posted since they're so closely entwined with that particular industry. So that's why I say you want to make sure that you're also doing that. And your price, of course, is your compensation, and it's not just your salary. this can be, what are you looking, and I'm pretty sure a recruiter may ask, what's your range. But you want to also, before you're quick to throw out a number, you want to consider everything. Anything and everything's negotiable. So even if you have a price range that they can't fall in, look at other things that you can, probably negotiate. Hey, it may be vacation time. Hey, if you can't give me this, can you have wiggle room on the vacation time? Hey, do they pay you to go back to school? Do they have some type of tuition reimbursement? So you want to make sure that you're leveraging not just the salary, because it's some great companies out there that that can't compete based on salary with some of the Fortune 500 companies. And that's some of the things that the small and medium-sized companies run into. Is that, hey, we can't compete with the Googles of the world. So what else do they have to offer? Where are you ready to move it? I had worked with a client that was willing to take a pay cut to work at home. They were making fairly decent salary, but they had a position and it offered an opportunity. They didn't have to go to work every single day, and they took a pay cut because they valued staying at home. They didn't want to be in traffic every day. And they were willing to take a pay cut for it. So, it's different things that you can negotiate, and compensation is not always salary. And this goes back to selling a solution. You want to be very specific, be an expert, have a 3, 6, 9-month plan available. I know people have heard of the 30, 60, 90-day plan. I think that's unrealistic, and I've talked about this in past workshops. There's really nothing that you can accomplish in the first 30 days other than paperwork. So I really think that 3, 6, 9-month plan, first and foremost, 3 months, that's 90 days. Usually you're out of that probation period within the first 90 days anyway. And that's when you really should be able to answer the how and be able to show results within the organization. You should be on track to do something that's going to bring that organization value. So that's why when you put together a 3, 6, 9-month plan, and I call it a solution plan as well, you're actually setting goals for yourself. And again, this takes work, this takes research. You have to figure out, what role that this position plays in the organization in order for you to even, before you can even set goals for yourself. So once you're able to accomplish and research that, you're able to put together a realistic plan that you can actually send with your resume. And set, and show these are the solutions that I can implement within your organization. And you need to answer the how, which means that just don't say it. You want to be able to show real live examples of how you've implemented these solutions elsewhere. How you done it, because the how makes it real. It's very vague to have just a statement about, and I've seen statements all the time that, I increased sales by blah, 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 blah. How did you do that? I implemented a new sales technique, so I was able to use that and increase the sales. Okay, now you're giving me something to work with. So you want to make sure that you're showing the how in it. You want to make sure that you're also getting uncomfortable being comfortable. If you're not picking up the phone, if you're not reaching out to decision makers, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're missing out on a lot of people or a lot of organizations that very, very well may hire you but just don't know who you are. Or you apply to, but you're under a stack of 100 resumes. So you want to make sure that you're putting time aside to actually start reaching out. It doesn't always have to be phone. You can do email. I like the phone, but it's, I always do a phone call and follow up email. But, I like really getting people on the phone, getting that voice. And use that no to produce more leads. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're not going to get a no. That employers are not going to tell you no. Employers may not even answer the phone or even return your email. It's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you it's not. But you want to use those no's to produce more leads. So if you do get someone on the phone, they can't help you, say the position's filled or they're already in the process, they're close to making the decision, whatever they tell you why they're not going to move forward with you, use that as the opening or use that as a platform to ask for more leads. Well, I understand that, you may not be hiring, this department may not be hiring, but do you know anybody else that may need my skills? And believe it or not, they probably do. And the reason why they tell you or give you a name or a source because they already feel obligated to give you something because they told you no. It's the mind of, it's psychology. When you tell someone no, it's kind of like I almost feel obligated to help this person out. Since I can't help him out, I can at least, give them to someone that can. So you want to ask for those leads. More likely, they're not going to voluntarily give you that information. You have to ask. But when you ask, you won't believe how many people actually do give you a hand and give you some leads that you can reach out to. And you can ask them, thank you very much. Can I use you as a reference? Make sure you do that. So that way, when you do call that contact, you can use their name. See how how this all connects? Now you have a referral. Now you can use their name. And again, that means ask for referrals. And this is the last slide because I want to open the line up for Q&A session. The job search breakdown, which is going to be your weekly commitment. And this goes to anyone, or I've had questions asked about how long does this take. And if you're not working, it takes about as long as a job that you would have. Kind of, like I said, looking for a job becomes a job. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're utilizing your time and you're actually using it effectively. And I see that a lot of times what I have on this screen is reversed. Most people spend a lot of their time on job boards versus networking or doing some type of community service or training. I said for online job boards, I think that you should commit about 2 or 3 hours a day to it. Again, I'm not against them. I think they're effective. They work. But guess what? That job is going to be there tomorrow. That decision maker won't. So if you spend all your day, all your working day, which means you're using that 9 to 5 to apply to jobs online, you're missing people that actually can make things happen. So I tell people, use that time during the evening hours to apply to those jobs because they're going to be there after 5. The people that you're trying to get on the phone won't. So that means job boards, social media. For social media, I really think that you should use some type of automated platform, which means that you get your tweets together, your articles of interest together, whatever you want to put out online, get it together and use that time to plug it in for each day. You can do 5 or 6 social media outputs or social media posts a day. And you say in the software you can use Buffer, Hootsuite. I don't know if they changed it. Last time I seen that they were free if you had less than 5 accounts. And you can time this, hey, every day at 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, I want to XYZ to, post on my LinkedIn profile or post on my Twitter profile. And you can have this stuff generated through the week. That way you're not spending your time behind the screen trying to do this. Because to me, it can be a time waster. Because this doesn't give you immediate results. What's going to give you immediate results or somewhat direct results are going to be your networking, which means that you're going to spend anywhere from 6 to 7 hours a day doing something that's going to connect you with the live person. Doesn't have to be what I have on here. Doesn't have to be a career fair because we all know there's not a career fair every day. So it doesn't have to be everything I put on here, but some way, if you're not going to some type of industry related conference or meetup or meeting, if you're not a part of an organization, which you should be joining these organizations, and if there's not a career fair in town, you should be finding decision makers at a company that you want to work for and targeting some type of solution plan that you can get in front of them ASAP. You should be reaching out, asking for those one-on-ones. That's how you should be spending your day. And next, you should be finding a way to give back. Give back. Also, this is going to create ways that you can network with some of these decision makers. Like I said, job boards, be on a committee, take a class. If you're in a position that you're finding that you don't have a particular skill set, or you're interviewing for jobs and they're coming and you're getting that same reason why you're not getting hired, well, we're looking for someone that has this, you don't have it. We're looking for someone that has that, you don't have it. It may be time for you to invest in your education. Take a class. Do something that's going to sharpen that axe to make you more competitive. You can seek out industry-related workshops or webinars. Many a times, I haven't looked recently. A lot of this stuff is offered either face-to-face or online, either at a low cost or sometimes absolutely free. I've told this story time and time again. I had a guy that was and he was actually in the IT industry, and he taught himself to take this certification for a particular language that he needed to take by looking at various free videos online. Again, I talk as if it happened overnight, and it didn't. It took him a while to actually build up his own personal library of free videos. And I think the class that he had to take for the certification was about $1,200. He didn't have $1,200 to spend to take the class, so he self-taught himself with free training videos that he found various places online. And the major place he found it was on YouTube. And the guy set time aside to study these videos, put together, looked for different training videos, assessments and questions that would be asked, end up taking the test and passing. And he found that particular skill set that he lacked was something that was needed in the industry that he was pursuing. And now the guy's gainfully employed. So you may have to look at what you need to take or what the market is asking for. So this is your job search breakdown, kind of a weekly commitment. Again, none of these times are written in stone. This is just kind of a recommendation that I see. And just find a way that you're going to put a lot of emphasis on networking and putting yourself in a position to connect directly with a decision maker. And that's a way to actually do it. Okay, and this is the last slide. I'm Bridget Baggett, Career Innovations. If you do log off early, please take the survey. I would love your feedback on things that you liked about the workshop. I like to hear about things you didn't like. What would you change? What's some topics that you'd like to cover the next time? So definitely do that if you do decide to log off early if I've answered your question. This is my direct email. That's the best way to contact me, or through my website, career-innovate.com. You can schedule a phone appointment, and you can actually talk to me one-on-one about anything. So if there's any questions, I'm going to go ahead and open up the line. You can ask those, and I'm going to see if I have any questions right now. If you've logged in, I can unmute your mic, or you can raise your hand. Okay, thank you so much. I'm very happy I was able to answer your question. I have someone that said all good. Thank you so much. Okay, do I have anybody else that have a question? I do have another thank you. You're welcome. So if you have a question, I do see someone typing, so I wait till they finish typing, and I will answer that question. Until then, while they're typing, this is one thing that these workshops are here to do. And every week there's usually a different topic because different questions get asked. So if you see something here that you either didn't ask directly, or you have a question, or say you're experiencing something during the week and you don't know how to handle it, shoot me an email, log for the next workshop, and I definitely address that on the workshop. We do this every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I have someone said, you talked about packaging yourself. Is it okay just to send your resume over directly to an employer if you have not talked to them before and they're not expecting it? So if you haven't talked to an employer before and they're not expecting your resume, this is my suggestion, is that you actually have that warm introduction, which means that you reach out to them first. Either you can use LinkedIn, you can, find their direct email address, have some type of, I call it warm call or warm engagement before you just blast them the resume. Because what can happen, and I say this, what can happen is that you may have other people that are doing that depending on the company, and they may not look at it because it's something that they didn't ask for. They don't know you. They may not even know what position you're hiring, or they may not be in a position to even be in the hiring capacity. That's one thing that people mistake, that they may not know if that's the particular person that's the decision maker, just based off their title. So that's why that introduction is crucial. That way you can find out where they are in the company, where they stand, what type of decision-making power they have. Believe it or not, there may be someone that say, hey, I'm not over that, so-and-so's over that. Let me give you their email. And you just saved yourself a whole lot of trouble by sending it to the wrong person. And believe it or not, it may be a person that may not correct you and just may delete your email. I don't know who this person is. It's spam, delete. So at least if they know that you're interested, you're going to reach out to them, they can guide you in the right direction in case they're not the person that makes the decision, or they can at least expect your email or your resume before, you spam them with it per se. Okay, I do have someone that raised their hand. I'm going to unmute your mic. I don't know if you're on the line. Okay, I see you have a question. Okay, you're welcome. Glad you enjoy the tips. Okay, anybody else that has a question? Okay, I don't see any more questions now. We have about 10 more minutes. It's about 10 till. If you think of a question after we get off the line, shoot me an email. I'm definitely not going to hold you longer than you want to be held, because I know it's going on 8 o'clock on our side of the world, Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't have a question, I'll go ahead and log off early. If you can, definitely shoot me an email if you have a question. Do the survey so I'll know of anything that you need me to change or like me to talk about in the future. And enjoy your night. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Oh, I do have a question. Hold on. As a small business owner that needs to re-enter the corporate workforce, how do I position myself to be an employee? So if you owned a small business and you're looking to get into the corporate workforce, you're trying to position yourself as an employee. Well, as a small business owner, first of all, it sounds like if you ran your own business, I don't know for how long, it shows that you have a tenacity to be independent. You know how to get business. It sounds like you know how to sell a solution. So, that's something that definitely would be beneficial to the employer. How would you position yourself? The same way I gave you those tips before. You want to find, just like as a business owner, you would know this. You want to find that problem. What is that company dealing with that you can solve? So that's something that you want to do as well. So as a business owner, you know how to gain that business. If a person is seeking out your services, they have a problem that needs to be solved. It's no different from being an employee. They're hiring you to do something, to a job. And more likely that job is solving a problem. So you're going to sell yourself just like you would sell yourself if you were trying to gain that client or gain that business. How are you going to be the solution? What have you done in the past? This is great that you've run a business. That means that you have clients that can speak on your behalf and speak on your abilities. Use that as leverage. Hey, I can solve your problem because I did this with X, Y, Z. This is what I did to solve their problem. Make sure you give them a reference. They, pretty much can co-sign on my abilities. This is going to be something that's going to pretty much blow out your competition, because that more likely your competition has not been a business owner. So you're going to have that to your advantage. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not looking at this as something that's going to be a negative connotation where I'm a business owner, I haven't been in corporate America. You want to turn that around and make that a positive. How is being a business owner going to make you more competitive than someone that hasn't? And I just named a couple of things. You're tenacious, you're able to run a business, you're able to get business, to stay in business, you're able to solve a problem. There are going to be things that employees may not experience as someone that has ran a business. So you definitely are going to be able to use that to your advantage. And I hope that you are, and you're not using that as a negative thing, because it's not. So if you can, and once I upload this, you can go back and look at some of the tips I gave as far as marketing yourself and positioning yourself and being the solution, and make sure that you're doing your research on the company so you'll know how to be the solution. Okay, they said a recruiter told you that employers think that you are only want to be there to collect a paycheck. And you probably will have employers that think that. You probably will. Employers might think that, hey, this person's back in business. This person's business is doing bad. They may think that, oh, evidently, business must not be good. They're looking for a job. You're right. You're going to have people that think that. But you're also going to have people that, it's people that, they're tired of running a business. I know a lot of people they ran a business and they did a tough run for, a couple I don't want to do it anymore. And it may be because those small businesses can wear and tear on you because, not only may you be providing a service, you're going to be having to wear hats that have nothing to do with the services that you're providing just to keep your business afloat. And of course, that can burn anyone out. So you want to also make sure that, you're able to answer that question. You pretty much came to light, or you pretty much put in the light what question may be asked. Somebody may ask you, after running a business or being an business owner, why do you want to enter corporate America? Be ready to answer that. I don't know your reason, but you want to be able to have some type of compelling story on why you want to re-enter the workforce. And nothing's wrong with it. I know people that had very successful businesses that went back to corporate America because sometimes it was a headache to run. They got burnt out on it. And it had nothing to do with, they were running the business poorly, but just sometimes they felt like, hey, there's a lot of people that find out it was more work than they thought it would be. And that's okay. But you definitely want to make sure you have an answer to that, and you pretty much shed light on what somebody would ask. And I'm not going to tell you different. There are going to be people that may think that and may, hey, this person, wants to collect a paycheck, or this person's business failed, or whatever the case may be. But I can tell you this, if you're selling them a solution and you're giving them something they need, they wouldn't care anyway. It could be, think about it, when you're buying from someone or someone's selling you something, you don't think about, what's their motive of selling it to me. You think about, hey, this is something that can solve a problem. So there are going to be people out there that if you're selling them a solution and it's something that you can actually do, and you're putting it on a platform that's going to be very attractive to them, those speculations will go right out the window. But I think the only thing that will encourage that thought, if you're not doing that, if you are just applying to jobs and you're not putting substance behind what you can bring to the table versus a warm body, then you're right. They'll think of anybody like that. Oh, you're just here to collect a paycheck. And believe it or not, there's people that had not run a business or ran a business that's looking just for a paycheck. We got people like that all day. So it's the catch-22, and then there's people out there regardless, business or not. So hope I was able to answer your question. And yes, thank you so much. I really happy I'm able to help you. Thank you so much. And I love the compliments. If you can, I'm on LinkedIn, Bridget Baggett, first and last name. If you put my name in, I'm definitely there. Feel free to hook up with me on LinkedIn, write me a recommendation. I love recommendations. And provide feedback on how this workshop was. That would be very much appreciated as well. Thank you so much, and everyone have a great night. Bye-bye.